Well, if we're gonna find any ghosts, we better split up.
You're listening to Never Split Up, a horror movie podcast.
There are certain rules that one must abide by in order to successfully survive a horror movie.
Hello, once again to the Never Split Up podcast. What's up, everyone? This is episode 95. My name's Nolan. Alongside me, as always, is Anthony. And if you're watching us on the video feed, you can see Ant's shirt. Today, we're covering Jaws, released in 1975, directed by Steven Spielberg. What's up, Ant? How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm so excited to talk about some Jaws. Finally, I can't believe it's taken this many years for us to get to it, but we're here.
Finally. Yeah, I think this is our third summer doing the podcast, so it took us a few summers. And this is the last week of summer, and we're releasing this on the 27th, and next week is Labor Day, and we're into September, so we're ending summer on a bang. This is going to be really fun. Did you get your rewatch in?
Yeah, I mean, of course I did. This is like part of my DNA, but yes.
Yeah, I never need a reason to rewatch this film, so I definitely got it in. I watched it last month. I watched it for this episode. I mean, I watched it constantly every summer. So.
You have to.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're fans of the podcast, you're our loyal listeners, it's no surprise how we feel about this movie. We'll just say it right off the bat. I mean, we both love this film. Who doesn't love this film? I mean, if I meet anyone in my real life who says they don't love this film, for any other reason other than it like scarred me and I can't watch it again because that's valid, then I severely judge them. So
I couldn't agree more.
We're excited to get into this, do a deep dive into this movie. I'm sure this is going to be a longer episode, so buckle your seatbelts, everyone, and hop on board the Orca and let's go for a fun little ride around Amity Island. Anything you want to cover before we get into it, Ant?
Yeah, guys, I mean, if you want to check out, we've been doing some 80s movies our last couple episodes, so check out our Lost Boys episode, check out our Children of the Corn episode. Those are fun 80s horror movies to watch in the summer. And I ran our poll last week for 28 Years Later, the new movie that came out this summer as well. And we had Oriana on as a guest, and the options were Jamie takes Spite out for his first kill too early. Nolan had that one. They said a little bit too long after the first kill. Oriana's was Spike leaves the community with his mom. And mine was that Eric stayed with Spike and Isla after saving them, and it led to his death. And me and you were neck and neck, but I just came out on top. So I ran that poll, and I ran all of our other polls today. So we're all caught up. So make you guys go vote for the stuff in the polls, and we're all caught up. I love being caught up on stuff. So now we're all up and we're ready to go. So make sure you guys are voting in the polls as well. And let us know your moments. It's just a fun little thing we do.
Yep, for sure. Yeah, I'm really proud of that Children of the Corn episode. We both don't love that film, but we, I think, did a good review. And we got quite a bit of listeners. I was a little surprised. People love their Stephen King, I guess. Yeah,
Stephen King in 80s.
Yeah, that's the sweet spot, I think, for our audience, for sure. But we're throwing it back, 1975, going all the way back to 1975. Many call this the first summer blockbuster. It's Jaws. It's, Steven Spielberg. You have our insane cast that we're about to cover right now. Why don't you take us through the synopsis and cast and crew?
Yeah, guys, I mean, Jaws is like one of the most popular movies of all time, but I'm going to give you guys the IMDb synopsis. It's when a massive killer shark unleashes chaos on a beach community off Long Island, it's up to the local police chief, a marine biologist, and an old seafarer to hunt down the beast. It was directed by the legend Steven Spielberg. It was written by Peter Benchley, who wrote the novel, and Carl Gottlieb. And it stars our man, Roy Scheider as Sheriff Brody, Robert Shaw as Quint, Richard Dreyfuss as Hooper, Lorraine Gary as Ellen Brody, Murray Hamilton as our favorite mayor, Vaughn. And I like just giving a little shout out to Jeffrey Kramer as Deputy Hendricks. I don't know, I always adored him. So yeah, that's our main cast, and we have obviously a bunch of supporting characters. Shout out to Lee Fierro, Mrs. Kintner. She has an iconic sequence in the movie with her poor son. And yeah, this is Jaws, and it came out, like Nolan said, of course, leave it to horror to be trailblazing. This was considered the first summer blockbuster, and I feel like people forget that it was also a horror movie. So horror movies have been keeping the lights on and, setting new boundaries in Hollywood forever. It made $478 million on a $9 million budget, so it damn sure was a blockbuster. That's insanity. And I just can't wait to get into this because this is a movie that's so important to us. So I can't wait for us to do our overall thoughts and really get into it.
$9 million, man. I mean, I know the dollar isn't worth the same, but still,
right.
Even if you account for
but
inflation,
still,
I mean,
the dollar wasn't worth the same. But that means that many more people had to go see the movie because the dollar wasn't worth the same back then.
Exactly.
So it's crazy.
Yeah, it's just insanity. I actually find it funny. I mean, obviously, it's a ridiculous notion to not call Jaws a horror movie. I know that pops up on the internet every now and then. I actually think that's a testament to how well this movie does so many different genres. And I always get a chuckle. I mean, obviously, it's a horror film. I don't think we're even going to discuss that or give it any validity. But I think the reason why the people bring that up all the time is because there are elements of other genres in this film. It's like an adventure movie, and it's, a drama in a sense. So I kind of get why people who aren't familiar with horror will call it not a horror because it's so ingrained in our society. And people, unfortunately, still look down on horror, even though it's been the mainstay. We've talked about this pretty much since the inception of cinema. Yeah. Right. But, it's the first summer blockbuster. And, of course, like you said, leave it to the horror genre, creature feature, thriller movie to kind of usher that in. And really cool to see such a renowned director like Steven Spielberg. I mean, he's widely regarded as one of the greatest directors of all time, if not the greatest, especially when it comes to blockbuster movies. And for him to start his career in a role, in a director's chair with this kind of movie in a horror movie is really freaking cool. And I want him to go back to something like this so badly, but we'll see. So yeah, let's get into it. We don't really need to do recommendation segment, but let's just do quick overall thoughts because we're going to do a deep dive into the film. Right. But I'll let you start first.
Okay. Yeah, guys, so, I know how I always say, Scream and Halloween are my favorites, and they're so important to me, and they, my parents solidified my love for slasher movies with that, and that's my favorite genre of horror, but Jaws was the first horror movie I was ever shown. Ever. By my grandpa, and it immediately terrified me, and it pulled me into the genre that I love so much today. I was terrified to go in a pool after I saw this movie. It's so special to me. It's probably, I know those two are my favorites, but this is probably the most important movie to me of all time, personally, because I was shown this at 3 years old. It was literally the first piece of horror I was ever shown. And like I said, we won't talk about too much because it is a horror, but anyone who thinks that this isn't horror, watch the opening scene alone. I mean, there's children death in this movie. There's blood. There's tension. There's suspense. There is gore, and it's PG. It's just, because the movie builds tension, I feel like people think that it's also a drama adventure, but I think that leans into why the horror is so effective in this movie. And we'll get into it because I know I have a question for you after our opening thoughts about if something was different with this movie. But I mean, this movie is everything to me. It was a huge staple in my family household growing up. I mean, whenever it's on, we would watch it, and my mom would look at me "You were watching Jaws again?" It's just always been Jaws. I mean, we all know the words by heart. I think that it was a happy mistake that the shark wasn't working, and I know that's been stated to death, but I'm so happy that they had so much trouble with the mechanics because, especially, I always say less is more, but especially with aquatic horror, when that's under the water is so terrifying, and what you don't see, to me, is super scary, and you see someone flailing around. So I'm just so happy that the shark didn't work that much because I think that lended to how terrifying this movie is. And then we still get all the shark goodness, towards the end. And throughout the movie, we get shots of the shark that is scary, and it still looks, in my opinion, like the most realistic shark in cinema. I know all the movies that came out in the last, 10 to 15 years, it's all I love some of them, but it's a lot of CGI, and nothing lives up to how terrifying Jaws was. I mean, I remember my parents were crazy. They took me on Jaws the ride when I was 18 months old, and I was just out. I mean, it's just, this movie is just, this is the best movie, one of the best movies of all time. This is cinema. Yeah, so I can't wait to get into it. I think the character of Brody is one of my favorite Final Boys. You know, I know you don't think of Final Boy, you're not thinking about a slasher, but I love him so much. And yeah, I have just such fond family memories with this movie growing up, and the sequel and the whole franchise. I love it for all the good and the bad. Yeah, me and my dad would watch this all the time. This was actually the last movie my dad watched the night before. You know, he passed too, so this is just crazy. 50 years too. 50 years later, I can't wait for the day where I hopefully own a boat and I could just watch Jaws in the middle of the water somewhere out on the sea or out on the ocean and just have a great experience. But yeah, this movie is so important to me. It's everything to me. So obviously everyone's seen Jaws, but keep it going. Let's pass it down to generation to generation. I feel like the score for this movie is I know Halloween's my favorite score, and maybe to the horror community that might be the most like iconic score, but the Jaws theme, I feel like overall is the most like iconic score of all time. I feel like whether you're 3, 30, 60 or 90, once that, theme comes on, you're like, oh, that's Jaws. Everyone knows Jaws. It's amazing. I love it so much, and I cannot wait to get into it. It's one of my like childhood treasures and the movie that keeps giving.
You mentioned Halloween and Scream are kind of like your two biggies in horror.
Right.
I kind of have a holy trinity. And I've said this before. It's Halloween, The Shining, and Jaws. Right. And I flip all the time. I flip-flop, but especially with Halloween and Jaws, I think are my top two, and then The Shining. It's close. I've said before, Halloween is my favorite horror movie of all time, but there are times where I do rewatches of Jaws, and I'm sitting there like, how is this? Like, it's like pulling teeth, trying to pick one. It's, because I watch this in the summer, I watch Halloween,
right.
on obviously around Halloween. Well, I watch both of these year round, but particularly in those seasons. And yeah, this is one of the few movies that I consider just absolutely perfect, like shot for shot. No notes about any of the acting, the writing, the cinematography, like you said, the score, the direction, the editing, the pacing, everything is perfect. I could probably count on one hand how many movies I consider like flawless movies, and this is one of them. So that's just kind of my baseline going into this review of how I feel. Like you said, you touched on, we talked about the acting, the actors, where they're the heart and soul of this film, particularly Chief Brody and his family. That's an interesting through line. You have, Hooper and Quint come from such different backgrounds. Right. You have all the townsfolk, all the small characters play such important roles. Everything is just kind of comes together seamlessly, and it's just movie magic, and there's no way it could ever be replicated if they ever try to do a reboot or any sort of sequel to this film. It's never going to live up. It still holds up, like you said. The Shark still holds up to this day. It hasn't aged one bit. With the restoration technology, the fact that we have it on Blu-ray and even 4K, I believe it's out on.
We do.
It's just incredible. I mean, I have my Blu-ray that I watch, and I'll go and look at like deleted scenes and outtakes, and those aren't restored, and you see the difference. And it's so amazing what technology has been able to do to keep these films alive for newer audiences. And it just warms my heart. I can't wait to talk about this film. This is one of the films I've been waiting to talk about since we started the podcast, and I'm so glad we're finally covering it. And yeah, it's really special to me. I don't remember the first time I watched it. I was very young as well. I'm not quite sure. I was 3 years old. I don't know if I have many memories of when I was 3. So I think you have me beat there. But this was one of my earliest horror phobias. I mean, I couldn't go in a pool for
same.
I feel like years without being terrified of going in the deep end. And I think that's an entire multiple generations have that fear. So that just goes to show you that this is a horror film.
Well, and that it's timeless. It's so timeless, and it still is timeless.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, so with that, let's dive right in.
It's so funny,
if you will,
to talk about.
Let's get to this opening scene.
Yeah.
The thing I like about this opening scene, I'll just kick us off here, is you think of Jaws overall, the set pieces with the shark, a lot of buildup, a lot of suspense, a lot of tension. There's not a lot of buildup in this opening scene. I actually think it works beautifully. You get the kids, you get what's her name swimming in the water, and he kind of we'll just call him Jaws, or we can call him Bruce. He kind of creeps up on her pretty quickly. We get the underwater shots and everything. There's not a lot of buildup, and all of a sudden it's like boom, she's dead, and there's nothing left of her. And obviously we find the remains later on in the movie. But I actually like that it's not this big long buildup, because we get that throughout the film. But I think to start the film, this was like very impactful and very shocking. I can only imagine watching this in theaters 50 years ago, just like setting the tone for the film.
I mean, this opening is perfection. It's absolutely terrifying. The way it's shot, the underwater shots, you don't see anything. You just see her being slammed around. I think I forget the actress's name, the stunt woman, but she got really hurt. I think she was really being flung around. Obviously, this is all practical. Everything's practical. And whenever I rewatch this opening, I mean, now we've covered a few of my favorite openings. We've talked about Scream, Halloween, this. After watching this, I'm like, we need to put our top 10 like horror opening that we need to put that on the calendar, because this movie reminded me of how much I'm absolutely in love with this opening. It's so simple, but that's what makes it so scary. I mean, you can say this is a never split up moment, but I've done it as a, whatever, in college or I've gone skinny dipping in the water at night with no lifeguard, but like we all do it. It's like an adrenaline thing, but this just turns out so bad for this woman, and it's just absolutely terrifying how you just see something coming up towards underwater, but you don't see what it is. And I do think this is an example of, I'm so happy that they don't show the shark, because it just like sets up the mood and the tension of like, holy shit, what's under that water getting her. And I mean, I just get chills every time I watch it. It's a masterclass of an opening scene. It's so excellent.
Yeah, and again, it just thrusts you right into this movie. I mean, after this opening, we get introduced to Brody and his family, and this is really the only scene where, a lot of movies, especially horror movies, will get like the normal of before shit hits the fan with our characters and our protagonists. This is really the only scene that we have Brody living a quote-unquote normal life before he finds this first victim.
Right.
And to talk about Brody's family, I mean, there's such an important part of this film, and seeing him with the kids leaving for work and everything, and his banter with his wife, Ellen, it's just so awesome. And like, people, when they like watch films, they don't maybe even think about stuff like this until you really like think about a film and do like a deep dive, and then you realize like, wow, that really does lend itself so beautifully to why I care so much about these characters, especially when we get towards the second half of the film and Brody goes on that boat knowing he's afraid of the water. I mean, you feel like Chief Brody by the end of this film so much. His family, his fears and his motivations, and this is like the first breadcrumb that they give you, and it's just beautiful. It's awesome. Even the kid actors are great. They're awesome too, and it's a great little scene before Brody finds our first victim.
Yeah, I mean, this movie does what like every awesome horror movie does. It gives you an opening scene that's a gut punch and like gets you really on edge and terrified. And then to me, one of my favorite things in horror movies as well is character development. And the Brody family is the backbone of Jaws. They're really the backbone of the entire franchise, even though it gets a little convoluted, in the later installments. But I think that without these quiet family moments, there's a really beautiful scene in the movie, in the middle of the movie we'll get to, between Brody and his youngest son, Sean. But I just think that the reason why Jaws works so well is because Steven Spielberg takes the time to let us learn who these people are and fall in love with Brody. Because any other director could have just been like, oh, he's a grumpy, chief, or he's, a grumpy cop, and it's just, you never wouldn't connect with him. We know why he's so frustrated with the town and the mayor by not closing the beach, because he loves his family and he loves the community so much. And I guess that's the first question I wanted to pose, because I've seen this, newer generations, their attention spans are really, not there with all of technology and, phones at our fingertips. I've seen some say, like, because this is a 2-hour epic horror movie, a summer blockbuster. I think that because of the character development and how I think it's vital that we spend so much time on Amity Island before they go out to sea on their adventure. But I've seen like one critique where people have issues with the pace, and like it would have been awesome as a 90-minute movie with like no fat. And I'm like, it's 2 hours, but I feel like all the character moments are needed to justify the payoff and justify everything. So do you think that this, I know you don't, but what do you say to people who think this should have been like a 90-minute quick thrill ride? Because I think that's not the point. I think the reason why the horror elements work is because we have the in-between beats to fall in love with these characters. Even the characters who are not likable, we're still like invested. So I just don't understand the critique of this should have been a quick in and out movie, because it shouldn't.
Yeah, and it's funny, I was going to bring this up in my overall thoughts, but this is actually, I think, a strength to this film. When I think of this film, I think of it in two parts, right? We have the Amity Island part, where it's this dreading, suspenseful kind of like people are dying mysteriously. Right. We don't see the shark for the first half of the movie. It's really the townsfolk and the mayor that are kind of the villains, the prominent villains that are trying to stop Brody. And then it flips, and we get this adventure on the seas, and it's like a separate movie. I think all of the scenes on Amity are so vital to the story and so vital to when they do go out on the Orca.
Right.
It makes it so much more impactful and grandiose, and this epic adventure to go kill this monster that's terrorizing this community. I understand why people say that, but that's just not the heart of this film.
Right.
It's not why this film was made. They're looking for a different movie altogether. So it's really, I really can't even respect that critique, because it's not what any of the creators were going for. It's like if the film's not for you, it's not for you. I mean, I can't really critique people for that, but to say that is kind of disingenuous, because that's never what the film was going to be or what it was trying to be.
Exactly.
And so, I don't even really get that.
It's not like, and I love The Shallows, but it's not like a survival horror movie like that, where it's one location, one character who are just trying the whole movie to live. This is like, it's an epic. So that's why it's a summer blockbuster. It's a horror epic, and it's just as heartfelt as it's terrifying. I think that's why the scenes are so terrifying, is because, of how heartfelt the rest of the movie is. So when people say that, I'm like, this is not what he was going. I get you can critique it if that didn't work for you, but it was never his intention to just be this, thrill a minute movie, because that's what makes the actual thrills like remembered 50 years, throughout the 50 years. Is because,
well, it's so funny too, because the pacing is like one of the best parts
of
this film.
I know.
I mean, it's so good. And it's funny you say that people that have that critique say that like to cut the quote unquote fat. But I think the fat that they're talking about is the meat of the bones.
100%. 100%.
So it's just a complete 180 from my logic and my thinking when watching this film. So I can't even really put myself in their shoes. Yeah,
I agree. It's just like I just want to shake you and be like, this is like not what. But I get I get it. I guess I'm like, this is not your movie then, because it's not trying to just be like a thrill a minute movie. But I just think even the horror stuff on Amity Island before they go out on the sea is just like seared into my brain as so scary, some of these sequences. So yeah, I'm glad we're on the same page. I just want to be like, what are you people talking about?
Yeah. You get so many elements in this film. You get all the stuff on the island, you get all the stuff on the Orca, and it's all equally masterful. I don't even have a favorite part of this film, because the whole film is just equally firing on all cylinders.
And we talked about, especially with like recent movies, like some newer movies, I won't, because there's so many, but so many new movies, locations, they're not shot like on location, and I feel like the settings and the where these movies take place, they don't feel lived in. With this movie, I feel like I'm in Amity, and that to me again is such not only a movie, but specifically a horror movie. I feel like it adds to the edge of your seat tension when you feel like it's a real place and you can see yourself being there. So this movie again, Amity is everywhere. So I think that's also very important. That takes time to get invested in that as well.
For sure. Yeah. I they filmed at Martha's Vineyard. I want to go to Martha's Vineyard, and I've never been, and see some of these filming locations. And I totally agree with you. I mean, we get the shots of, Brody and the mayor and all them walking the streets of Amityville as they're setting up for, not Amityville, I'm sorry, Amity Island, as they set up for the 4th of July, celebration. You have the parade and the people walking the streets and the build up to the holiday. I mean, everything is just handled with such care and attention, and it really pays off. And it, like you said, it's one of the reasons why this film is so timeless and has such staying power.
It's just they don't do it like this is why I know I sound low, but like they don't do it like that, and they don't do it like they used to. And I feel like that's what we need to bring back, that magic of like shooting on location and feeling like we're part of the town and community. So again, guys, I know people like don't have attention spans, but I think it's crucial to the success of this movie. So what do you think about like?
I love the whole, just while we're on the topic of Amity and kind of how it's feeling like a real life place. I love the whole kind of class system of whether you're an islander or not. You have the one kid at the beginning, he was born on the island but never really lived on the island, but he's an islander. And then you have other people like Brody and others who weren't born on the island but have lived there and are not considered islanders. So I love that whole class system. I mean, we grew up on the Jersey Shore, so we kind of have that class system here. We call the out-of-towners different names. So I feel like I just love all those aspects that, which, like you said, a movie today probably wouldn't add all those layers to something like that. They would just set up some establishing shots, have some minor characters to kind of move the plot along. I mean, there are a lot of scenes that, quote unquote, with these islanders don't necessarily further our plot per se. But like I said, to me, it's all meat, extra meat on the bones. And it's not fat at all. I mean, it's all vital to kind of make this town this living thing that I want to live on.
Me too. I always did. And speaking of we're Jersey boys. I mean, the movie was inspired by Jersey Beach attacks in the early 1900s. Yes. So again, it's a very special movie to us. I mean, and if you looked at if you seen documentaries, Bruce the Shark, it's so smart because I feel Bruce's friggin' impact and presence the entire movie, but the shark has actually 4 minutes of screen time throughout the entire movie. Like, you visibly see the shark 4 minutes out of a 2-hour and 4-minute movie.
Well, it's because all four of those movie minutes you're holding your breath.
Exactly.
So it feels like it's 20 minutes. Yeah.
And again, the tension of not seeing Bruce, but seeing that he's there and coming, but you don't see. It's just a camera. Oh, it's just fucking perfect. I mean, how do you not give props to this movie? It's the blockbuster, the horror blockbuster. It's so good. So what do you think about Brody immediately, once they find the body and he finds out it's a shark attack, he's like, I want to close the beach. Do you think, because the mayor, Vaughn, is very we got to make money. It's 4th of July. This is a town that's a tourist town, very much like where we live. And Brody's like, we got to keep everyone safe. Do you think that both of them are overreacting at first? Because obviously once stuff starts happening, I'm Team Brody, but do you think that Brody's right to have that request right away?
Yeah, that is an interesting question. I'm glad you asked that. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this. For the longest time, most of my life, I've always been Team Brody from the get-go, but I feel like in recent years, I've kind of examined this film further, and I try to put myself in the other character's shoes, and yeah, maybe Brody is overreacting a bit, and it's one attack.
Right.
It's the medical inspector did say it's a shark attack, but it was at night. She was not out there with lifeguards or anything. I mean, it's the ocean; things happen. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, 2025, what the protocols are.
Right. We still see attacks. We see stories.
We
about
live,
that. Yeah.
On the Jersey Shore. There are sharks off our waters.
Right.
We don't really get many shark attacks, but if something were to happen here and someone were to would they close
right
the beaches?
Money.
I don't know. So it's easy for me to say I'm Team Brody, but I'm glad you asked that because I feel like there is some nuance there.
Yeah.
And while, like I said before, the mayor is kind of the villain, especially in the first half of this film.
Yeah.
I do kind of understand his viewpoint up until now.
I feel like I agree with you 100% because as a kid, I was just there's just right and wrong. And I was like, yo, someone's dead. Team Brody, close everything down, keep everyone safe. But now as an adult, I feel like realistically, that's just not how things work. Unfortunately, you can't just, everything's not about the well-being of us. Life keeps going, there's money there to be made. So I feel like after the first attack, they confirm it's a shark, but like it could, like, sometimes sharks attack and it's just a one and done. So I feel like after the first attack, I'm not Team Mayor because he's such a dick, but I can't justify Brody requesting that everything's just shut down for the time being because it's just not how things work. So when I was a kid, I was like, why are they opening the beaches so? But now I'm just like, unfortunately, it was just one killing and, things have to go on. So I'm kind of like, also, I appreciate that nuance because they're having that conversation. I feel like, I guess adults back then must have been having the same thought in their head. I was a kid, so I was like, what the fuck are they doing? But now I'm like, no, it kind of makes sense why they didn't shut things down right away. But obviously, there's more consequences.
It also doesn't help the fact that the mayor is such a sleazeball.
He's so sleazy.
The way he goes about these conversations. I love the scene where he meets Brody on the ship, on the the dock ship, wherever it is.
Right.
And he's got like his posse with him, and they're all in the background, like all these like guys in cheap suits, these politicians and board members and committee. It's like, it feels like they're ganging up on Brody, so I feel like that elicits a lot of emotion, and it's meant to keep you on Brody's side. It's only because we've had 50 years to examine this film that we're able to even kind of not side with the mayor, but kind of see both sides of it, I feel like.
Right. Well, and then it's also sleazy because he pretty much isn't, he's not, we're not told he pays off, but he pretty much pressures the coroner to reevaluate and say it's like just a boating accident. So like you're doing like false narratives already. And I love the town hall meetings where you have people like, what are you doing versus you can't close the beaches. It's very like, I feel like realistic to how things would have gone, especially back then. Now I feel like everything's on your phone.
Yeah,
you get alerts.
Like you said, the more you examine this, he's looking out for the town and the small business owners that rely on this economy. I mean, you have the famous line, one of my favorite lines of the film is, you yell shark and we've got a panic on our hands on the 4th of July.
So
I mean,
good.
it's just
it's
that
so
line
good.
delivery is
Dude,
so great.
many iconic lines,
but it's so real. I mean, when you think about that line, you laugh, but then you actually think about what he's saying, and it's like, yeah, like, should we really stir up this panic? Now, like you said, the false narratives, the pressuring of the medical inspector to change the autopsy, total dick move for the victim's family, for everything involved. I think he should have acknowledged it. Even maybe had a press conference that said, this was a one-off attack.
Right.
We have everything under control. We're going to post more lifeguards on the beaches. But the fact that he tried to cover it up was definitely, you can't defend that.
You have to put the facts out there and let the people decide if you're going to keep the beaches open. So he just went about it like, unfortunately, what a lot of politicians do is like, let's put this under the rug and then move on. But all right, let's get to Alex's, the boy's death. What a fucking sequence. Yeah. Oh my God. Talk about, again, horror, guys. Watch that scene. There's a kid, you see blood burst up on the fucking, that yellow rat.
Don't forget about Pippin.
Oh, I can't. And this is why, again, this is horrific. People say this isn't horror. As a kid, I was like, oh no, not the dog, take the kid. Obviously, it's not good either way, but that poor dog, I'm like, it's such a cute dog. I'm like, stop throwing it in the water. He's gonna fucking, and then it's really, we don't see the dog die, thank God, but it's almost more terrifying. You just see the thing wash up that he's playing fetch with, and it's like, oh, how grim. Yeah. And you just see the owner yelling his name like desperately, like, Pippin.
Well, it builds the suspense.
I'm just no.
This scene is Spielberg just firing on all cylinders. I mean, the suspense in this film,
so good.
Especially this scene. So we're kind of looking through the lens of Brody, who's on edge. He's on this
excellent
beach.
Shot, by the way.
He's scanning the water. And he has all the distractions. He has the one neighbor who's trying to fucking tell him about some dumbass complaint that he has that's not important. I mean, you have all the people. You have the fake outs in the water.
So good.
Where we're being faked out at the same time as Brody. And then you have the bone wash up. Like you said, we don't see the dog. We just see the bone wash up to shore. And you're like, oh no.
I hate that part.
No. And then John Williams does his thing. And you have the score. And it's a masterclass. The thing I love about this death the most... and what makes it so spine-tingling to me is you get the underwater shot, obviously. You get the music and the build-up and the suspense. But then, when Bruce actually attacks Alex, the music goes away and it's quiet. and then you just see the rolling of the shark
Mhm.
with Alex's pontoon or whatever, and then you see the
Blood.
blood in the water, and it's like I said, it's all quiet, and it's just like this very quick, somber thing that happens, and all of a sudden he's gone, and there's no trace of him, and that's when people freak out. But those few seconds where it's just a shark, like largely again, we don't see the shark yet because it's
No.
still early in the film, so the entire attack pretty much happens underwater, and you just see the water kind of turn red. It's just so spine chilling. Even talking about it now, it just
Gives you chills.
creeps
It gives
me
you
out.
chills.
Yeah,
And it's so scary because that poor kid, like, he saw everyone, like, you know, playing and, like, kind of panicking to get in. But he's so close, but he's so far. And his mom's on the beach. Like, no one's there. He's with everybody, but he's alone. So to just imagine that little boy's fear, you know, doing something that's supposed to be fun and then just getting your life taken instantly. And I just love, just to go back to that, I love how when everyone starts running, you see it happens to him in the background, but he doesn't cut away. So you completely see it, but it's in the background. It's not at the forefront of the camera, which I'm just like, oh, this
Yeah.
is so, because that's real, like, it's happening in the background for all these people too. No one really sees
Yeah.
it. So we're viewing it from that perspective. It's just heartbreaking. And actually, they originally, I guess, like, the Motion Picture Association of America deemed it too violent. They actually showed Bruce come up and, like, really pull him down. But I'm happy. I think it's scarier how you just see the blood burst, and like you said, he just takes him down, and just it's an attack like that. More realistic, but they did have a more violent one. But I think this was actually pretty. I mean, we're having a kid die in a shark. Guys, this is fucking horror. It's crazy. And in the aftermath of the poor mom, Mrs. Kintner, like everyone else on the beach, and she's running down, like, where is he? Like, where's Alex? Like, looking for him. That just, as a parent especially, but just as a decent human being, that, like, crushes your heart every time when she's just looking for him and he doesn't come out of
I
the
know.
water.
I would be interested to see that cut and see that.
There's
kill, but-
pictures of it if you look online.
Yeah, there's pictures of it. Yeah, I've seen the pictures. I am really glad it's not in it again, because it takes away from the rest of the film. I think it
Right.
takes away from that first close up
Right. And the
that
build
you
up
get of him when you're on the Orca.
Right.
So yeah, I just, the way it's done is so beautiful, and I wouldn't touch it. So I wouldn't. I'm really glad that they had to reshoot it or recut it or whatever,
Right.
because I
Again,
think it's just perfect.
I'm so thankful. I know Steven Spielberg had, like, a really bad time making this movie, but he's lucky because the fucking turned into a masterpiece because that damn shark didn't work. But yeah, I mean, A+, no notes. That sequence is one of the best in horror and aquatic
Yeah,
horror.
and it's easy to say, of course Spielberg is going to cherish this film, but I'm really glad that he still talks highly of this film and
Yeah.
everyone involved. Because you do get sometimes actors, especially, and also directors, will kind of scoff at earlier projects, even though they are iconic.
I hate
and
that,
kind
by
of
the
stick
way.
their nose up at it. Yeah, I hate that too. I really love that about Spielberg, especially with Jaws. I mean, he still sings its praises, and he's still so grateful for it. And I just love how he still champions the film as
100%.
his first, feature length film. So
Yeah, I hate
what do
that.
we get next? We get the Quint's first appearance, right? This is where we get the
Quint.
town hall.
The very eccentric Quint. Gotta love him. Yeah, what do you think about Quint?
I mean, it's Quint. I mean, I
love
what do
that
I think
jump.
about him. I think he's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Robert Shaw, does it get any better? I
No,
mean,
it doesn't.
talk about iconic. Some
Well-
of the most iconic lines in the film are delivered by Quint. I mean, he's everyone's favorite captain.
I
so.
just love how our trio for the second half of the movie, they're all so different. Like, they couldn't be
Yes.
more different. And
I love it.
that's
I
what
love
makes that, like, iconic when you think about this movie, how different
Mhm.
they are.
And how much they butt heads at first.
and that's realistic
Just-
because they're both
Yeah.
all on different they have different goals, really, all three of them, even though we think there's a common goal. So I think it's fascinating. Yeah, so I mean, I think he's a very eccentric, crazy guy. When I first saw him, like, oh, this guy's. But now when I watched him, like, I fucking love Quint. Oh yeah, even how kooky he
one
is.
of my favorite, I guess you could call it an Easter egg in this film,
Mhm.
and I don't know if you've heard this or not, or if you've picked up on it. When he has the shark
Oh,
drawn
when he
on the
draws it.
chalkboard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that there's, if you look closely, you can see that there was erasure marks and that he tried to draw the shark and erased it and then redrew it.
Yeah.
I just think that's so funny because obviously, on set there was probably like someone responsible for doing that,
Right.
and they messed up and they had to erase it. But to me, it's like I just picture Quint while they're arguing up
Just
front. He's
taking
back there
his
trying to
time.
just taking his time to do a drawing of a shark. That's one of my favorite little
It
Easter
definitely
eggs.
plays into his personality if you think about it too. Like to think he would do that.
Yes, it does. It really does.
So
Because when you first see him, you think of like this grizzled, captain. But then the more we get into it, I mean, he's just a silly little goose almost. He's just this.
I just
drunk
love
who
how
likes
he's also
act
ballsy.
crazy.
He just like walks in like, I'll offer you my service for 10 grand. I don't have any like proof. Like I don't have any like proof that I'm the guy. But he's just like, you need me, bitch. Like let's go. And I like the contrast even
Well,
between him
yeah,
and Hooper.
that's also.
Yeah.
I know there's one or two deleted scenes that flesh out Quint more. I like the way he's
too.
utilized in this film. What do you think, though? Because it is kind of mysterious because he is a local. I mean, he has like a local shop or museum. I mean, we see that later on where he lives with all the shark teeth and
Right.
everything. But it's almost, he's like this mysterious figure. It almost is like nobody knows who he is in this first scene. So I always thought that was interesting.
I also I don't need, again, this is a 2-hour movie and I think it has just enough character development. I didn't need to go on like a backstory of his life. I almost think like my headcanon, it's like he's the town like person or kook that everyone just says, don't go, like stay away from him. If like I let that mysterious about him, like, just like the guy at the end of the street, like don't go to that house. I feel like he's that kind of guy, like leave him alone.
Yeah.
That's where I think that lends to my liking of the character, that lore that I made up. I didn't need to be like spoon fed what's up with him.
No, I agree. Yeah, for sure.
And I love my
Definitely.
Hooper too. I freaking
I love how
love
he's just
Hooper.
kind of, again, with Quinn, I love how he's just like opportunistic. I mean, he hears
Yeah,
this.
I mean,
Town hall is being is being had because of a shark attack, and he's like, oh, that's my cue, that's my time to make some
he's
money.
looking out for himself, and that's he's
Yeah.
the number one. And I like the contrast of Hooper. He's like really like the smart the smart guy who's trying to really come in and give his expertise, and he really teams up with Brody, which I really love that too. I love Richard Dreyfuss. I actually met him at a con, and he loves Jaws. He loves talking about Jaws, so it's iconic.
Talk about Hooper. I mean, arguably the most important character
Yeah.
in this film, in term not just narratively, but in terms of kind of his impact on society. You talk about the moral dilemma that Jaws brought up, where it just made millions of people all across the world scared of sharks, maybe unnecessarily.
Yeah,
like
they
they're
do a bad
these,
thing, but it's
you know,
alright.
killing machines. But on the flip side, Hooper was able to usher in generations of marine biologists that have a lifelong career of work in studying these species because of this movie. So I do think the good has outweighed the bad, but I understand why
Yeah,
people
there's
would
a
say
split.
that.
I mean, this is a hard
People do say that this film has done irrevocable damage to the perception of
of course
sharks, but I would just counter that and say that we wouldn't have all of the research that we have
Right.
now if it wasn't for Jaws. So,
No, I agree.
and I think Hooper is largely responsible for that because he's so fucking cool. I mean,
he's
this
so awesome.
nerdy guy, kind of academic guy, but he gets his hands dirty and he goes out on boats. In the past, he's done research out in the field, and he's willing to roll up his sleeves in this film and get what needs to be done. And he butts heads with Quinn.
Oh yeah, they
Quint,
do the whole movie.
Quint doesn't think that he belongs anywhere near a fishing vessel, but he proves himself worthy, and he does what he has to do. And I just love his character.
It's funny because I always had a thing for Hooper. I'm like, I don't know, that's Brody's my guy, but I'm just like, I love Hooper. And every time I watched it as a kid when he got in that cage, I'm like, I was so nervous for his well-being. So I'm like, he's up there too, because I felt so scared for him every time he got in that cage, in the latter half of the movie. But yeah, they're all three of them are just, they're, as actors and performers, they're doing everything times 10 to bring those characters to life.
Yeah. I think the main thing I love about Hooper the most, and probably you and many others, is he's so steadfast in his resolve.
Right.
I mean, he never wavers
Mhm.
with his research and his theories on this shark and what it could be and what it means and how to take him down. And that's kind of like the reason why he butts heads so much with
Right.
Quint. But I love that he just stands up for himself and he never lets other people kind of diminish his thoughts and feelings. And it's really cool to see, because a lot of times in film, we'll see like that nerdy academic kind of get put down and put into a corner until it's, the other characters realize that they're right all along. But no, in this movie, he's standing up for himself 100% throughout the entire film, and I love that about him.
Well, exactly. In any other horror movie or most movies, that kind of character would get bullied into doing it their way. Whereas this movie, everyone's still on their own mission, but they're all coming at it with what they believe is right. So he never wavers throughout the entire movie, which I'm like, thank God, because again, that's something this movie is doing different than most movies do 50 years ago.
And talk about different, even just the fact that the quote-unquote expert is a main character in this film that contributes.
They're not called in at the
most
third
of the
act.
time, yeah, most of the time in these horror films, we'll get like these occult experts and these experts in demonology or ghosts or whatever, and they'll like be in one scene.
Right. It's a quick phone call, and it's
expert. Yeah, he's the expert, and he's a main fucking character, so it's really cool. Okay, now let's get back on track here. So, the dock scene. I'll let you describe this scene, because I know it's one of your favorites. You talked about this on our favorite chase scenes of all time. So talk about what this dock scene did for you as a kid.
I'm obsessed with this sequence. It actually scared me as a kid when the two fishermen are out on the dock and the friggin' thing just collapses. Oh, dude, I got chills. And the way Spielberg builds the suspense as the shark coming, like, poor guy, he's like, can't get up. I'm like, oh my God. And I love how it's not in complete darkness. It's like in between. I can't remember if it's got to be sunset or sunrise. I believe it's going to be sunrise because they go out fishing early. So it's very early in the morning. It just terrifies me so much when Bruce is coming towards them. And to me, that's like an iconic and underrated chase scene in aquatic horror. I get the chills every time when those two guys are out there. And it's such a simple scene with like characters that aren't involved, but I'm just like, holy shit, my heart is pounding times 10. I love that sequence.
Yeah. I mean, I've watched this sequence obviously countless times, and I still find myself kind of yelling at the screen, hoping that he gets up, because I still like think that something is going to happen and he's not going to make it. That's how effective this chase scene is.
Chef's kiss. It's chef's kiss.
Yeah, when you know the outcome, but you're still sweating it, that's when you know that the director did a good job.
Like literally on the jersey. Okay, so they find a tiger shark, and they say, that's what did this to the boy. So and then Hooper's like, no, like, I don't think so. Like, we just cut it open. So obviously they cut open the shark and there's no remains in there. And obviously like, oh, the shark's still at large. Let's talk about the scene. Hooper and Brody go out at night and they search the night orders. This sequence fucking gave me a heart attack as a kid when they like find I guess it's like a half sunken boat. And it's of one of the fishermen, a local fisherman, and Hooper goes in his scuba gear and goes down there to investigate, and I'm like, oh, that's scary, he found a shark tooth. But then we get, in my opinion, one of the best jump scares in cinema history when he finds friggin' the fisherman's severed head pops out. That, when I saw that as a 3-year-old, that gave me nightmares, that sequence, because it's dark and it's creepy and his head just pops out. I'm like, holy fucking shit. Get out of the water. That to me was horror gold as well. That sequence terrifies me every time. It's so good.
I know. Yeah, that's one of the scenes that for me at least, it's it's like a pleasant surprise. It's not one of the first scenes I think of when I watch this film, but every time it's about to happen, I'm like, oh my God, I forgot this scene.
It's so scary.
Almost.
The build-up, dude.
It's because it is so scary. Yeah. It's awesome.
But it's also a vital scene because the tooth, obviously, Hooper's declares that we're dealing with the great white. And of course, the mayor dismisses that, like, yada, 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 that's too close to the beach, blah, blah. But then, so I guess they just, like, increase, like, some safety precautions, really. But it's 4th of July weekend, so you can't close down that beach. So the beaches are packed. And then, I feel like, again, people are saying that this isn't well paced. We get another banger, like, sequence, which is an all-timer. The lagoon, shark attack sequence to me is one of my favorites. We get a fucking bitten off leg too in this movie. I forgot. We get that fucking shit going down too. That sequence terrified me as a kid when they're all at the lagoon and, actually Brody's son's in the water. That's again, if we didn't have that family dynamic, we wouldn't care if his son's in the water. And it's like, oh my God, his kid's in danger. So what do you think about that scene when Bruce actually finally attacks, and we do get a glimpse? I think the sequence when that guy's on the boat and his boat flips over and you see the shark just like, he doesn't come above the water, but you still see him like just beneath the surface. Ooh, that shot fucking killed me every time when he brings him down. I thought that was terrifying. And then he goes right by Michael, Brody's son, and then the kid's in shock. Again, to me, that's just another horror banger sequence. They don't do it like that with these other shark movies.
I think my favorite shots of Bruce are when he's just below the surface.
It's so
I think
scary.
it looks so good.
It's so
it looks
scary.
so scary, and it looks so.
I'd be scared to film that. That's how scary I think it looks.
Yeah, I know. I love the shot too. Yeah, he's like kind of sideways.
Yeah, exactly. That's the shot I'm
his
talking
jaw
about. Yep.
opening
It's like,
under the water.
Yeah, I love it. It's scary.
I mean, it's totally not realistic of how a shark
But it
would
looks
attack,
fucking
but it's
crazy
so
scary for a
fucking
movie.
Cool, yeah.
I would be
Before
scared.
we jump around too much, there's a couple scenes that we skipped that are, I think, vitally important, especially as shit hits the fan with Brody. We have Mrs. Kinter's speech to Brody, which is, I think, one of the greatest, most impactful monologues in cinema history. I think the actress, and I'll give her a shout out.
Yeah, I think I said her name.
Lee Fierro.
Yeah.
Is amazing in this role and does such a heartbreaking speech when she says, my boy is dead. I wanted you to know that.
It's
so simple, so effective, and that, I think, is the line that really motivates Brody the rest of this film.
Yeah.
He hears that line because we get that speech, and then we talked about it before. We get the dinner table scene.
One of my favorite scenes
with
in the movie.
Brody and his youngest son right after this speech, and
heartbreaking, but
him
beautiful.
being silly with his son at the dinner table after hearing Mrs. Kinter say that to him. I think he's still in his head in this scene, and he's trying to kind of be a good dad in that moment. And it's as a father now, as a young father now, I see this scene kind of in a different lens, and it's just so heartbreaking. And it's like you want to be there for this grieving mother, and I don't know, it's like it sucks because we're Team Brody this whole time, and
he can only do so
kind
much.
of did everything he could. This speech really should have been, and especially the slap really should have been directed at the mayor, because he's the one who covered things up. But I understand why he would go to the chief of police with this anger.
Well, and sometimes that happens in real life. Like, you want to put the blame on someone, but you don't even know really who's to blame for the most part. But talk about an actress who has like 2 scenes in the movie and she makes those fucking scenes count. I mean, that scene of her, that monologue, it crushes you every time, because this woman just, her son was taken from her and she's just so distraught. I mean, that was her life and it was taken away, and she just delivered the goods. And I love how that's so funny. One of my favorite scenes in the movie has nothing to do with the shark. That Brody scene with his son Sean is one of my favorite scenes in like cinema history. I mean, he looks up to his dad. He's like trying to copy and imitate his dad. It's so friggin', that to me is the backbone of the movie right there. That scene, it's like you want him to succeed for his town, but also for his family. You don't want to see anyone in his family get harmed. I feel like Steven Spielberg and Roy Scheider and the kid, whoever played the kid, that was just one of my favorite directed scenes in a horror movie that's just about a father-son bonding moment. Like, that movie, that scene touched me every time. It's so good.
Yeah. No, you said it perfectly. And then we get the Hooper scene where Hooper kind of interrupts their dinner. And
I love
that's
that too.
Just that special scene.
They have their wine.
They have their wine. They get drunk, and that's when they go and cut open the shark.
Mm-hmm.
And I think my favorite Hooper, I mean, there's a lot of awesome Hooper moments, especially at the end of this film, but one of my favorite Hooper moments is right here when they go to the mayor, and it's that famous scene where you have the big billboard where someone graffiti's on the billboard with a shark. And Hooper is fired up, man. He is going after the mayor like, what the fuck are you talking about? We're not opening these beaches. And this is, again, another example of Hooper kind of standing on business, if you will. I love how fired up Hooper gets, especially when talking to the mayor as this out-of-towner who,
I love it.
Doesn't have any, real connection to this community, but he still, I mean, he sees the bodies and the victims, even from the first victim that we have of Christine. It really affects him. I mean, he's very moved by this community and by these victims. So to see him get that fired up is like, hell yeah, man.
Well, it's just so good to see someone who's like good at their job, but also just a good person who cares about people, and that's such a contrast from Vaughn and even Quint, really. And I love that it takes what happens on the beach, like the sequence after that, what we just talked about when, he attacks the guy off the boat and almost kills Brody's son, who's hospitalized. It takes Vaughn feeling that guilty just because of that to even let Brody go on this excursion and hire Quint. So it took so much. It almost took the life of another child, and not to say that that guy's life wasn't important who was taken, but it took all that just to be like, okay, you gotta do what you gotta do. It's like, what else do you need? So, and that after the first attack, everything that happened, Brody was justified. Like, yo, you gotta close this down. This is crazy. But I just think it's funny how it took Vaughn so much, but you have Hooper and Brody the whole time just being like, this is what we have to do. And the mayor's supposed to protect your town, but clearly he has ulterior motives.
So like you were saying, this next attack in the pond, this is really like the climax of the film for a lot of residents on Amity, and especially the mayor. I mean, we have this buildup and this tension, and as a viewer, something's got to give, something's got to happen for this town to wake up and this mayor to wake the fuck up, and this is that event. And I just love, up until this point, we have this big buildup, not only with the shark attacks, but with this entire town and island getting ready for the 4th of July visitors. Mm-hmm. And now we get this huge dump of people swarming the beaches all at once. And it's like, oh my God, here we go. And I love how nobody wants to go in the water. To me, this never made sense. I was just talking to Jackie about this when I was doing my rewatch. The mayor is on the beach, right? And he goes to his one buddy, and he's like, hey, like, can you go in the water so other people get in the water? It's like, to me, you have the people on your island. They're going to spend money. Why does it matter if they go in the water or not? I feel like this is the perfect case scenario because you're still going to get your money, but people are going to be safe on the beach anyway. But he convinces people to go in the water and have a good time. Because it's all about optics with him, obviously, right. And then we get this tragedy. I want to give a shout out to I forget the actress's name, the girl who yells shark, shark in the pond. Yeah. So effective. I love her.
Listen to her.
It's so good. Yeah.
No, but it's so funny you say that the mayor. I feel like the money's not enough. He wants his town to come off of like, this is the place to be. Look at the dynamic of going to the water, and also like I feel like he could have been even that selfish. Like there's 200 people in the water, we can fit 100 more bodies on the beach with those people in the water. That's how much more money we can make. He's such a fucker. But yeah, I mean, this sequence again is like pure perfection. It really, really, really builds up. Really, like you said, this is the climax of the Amity Island portion of the movie. And I don't think it could have ended on any less of a banger.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we get what's his name is in shock. Is it Michael?
Yeah, Michael is the older son, yeah.
Michael's the one who's in shock, who goes in shock, yeah. So, I mean, it's just all just builds up to this moment. And then
we're out to
it's
sea.
Like we're in the hospital. We have Brody talking to the mayor, who does a complete tone shift. He's like freaking got PTSD now because he just witnessed a shark attack. And, I think the line in this film that makes him the biggest bad guy is when he says it here to Brody. He's like, I had kids on that beach.
Oh, what an asshole.
Water. It's like, wait a minute. You had kids this whole time and you were letting them go in the water and you were gaslighting even your own family? I mean, that really sold it of how much of a scumbag he was.
And it's also like, I hate those kind of people who are like, his kid was almost killed. And his response is like, well, I have kids too. I hate people who do stuff like that, where like, you just went through something bad and they're just like, well, I have this too. It's like, just fucking read the room, you piece of shit. Read the room.
Well, yeah, read the room. And also, he has no empathy towards others because it takes something so close to his family to happen for him to even consider a different possibility and to sign off on killing this shark. So yeah, he's not a great guy. So this is maybe one of the coolest lines. It's so subtle when Ellen greets Brody as they're about to leave on the Orca. And we talked about the family dynamic and how they're the heartbeat of this film. This line right here is so subtle but so impactful. And it gives me chills once again because like as a father, I just feel Brody in this moment. Ellen asks Brody, she goes, what should I tell the kids? And he just goes, tell them I'm going fishing.
It's so
and they
good.
just give each other a look, and I'm like, oh my god, like so simple but so effective because we have those scenes to fall back on, and we got that family dynamic. So when he says that line and he gives her that look and he goes onto the Orca and it drives away in the mouth of the Jaws in Quint's shop, that one shot, it's just cinema perfection. It's so
and again,
good.
it's another small moment that is just it's part of the ingredients that make this movie so memorable and a classic. Like, you can't skip over stuff like that. So when people say I want a one and done 90-minute, I'm like, no, that you're ruining it if you do that.
I mean, credit to the script writers, because I feel like a lot of scripts and a lot of movies maybe would have like this big dramatic goodbye where he's
cheesy,
hugging
too
Ellen
cheesy,
and
yeah.
yeah, and he's with his kids and his kids are crying, and it's very, like you said, cheesy. But no, he just says that one line and it's like, oh my god, it's like, oh, is he gonna come back from this? I don't know.
And it's that's Brody's personality. I believe it right away that's something that, like, he's such a badass. I fucking love Brody, dude. I love Brody.
Yeah.
Shout
out to our March Madness
bracket.
bracket.
I
Brody
was like,
the,
damn, he's doing
Cinderella
good
in that bracket. Yeah.
I love
rightfully
it.
so. And also, that scene is so perfect because while he's saying that, and then Ellen is kind of like fucking a nervous wreck watching him go on this boat, you have Quint in the background just like singing his sea shanties and yapping and just being a crazy person, and she's just like, oh my god, what is going on?
So yeah, we get our trio of Quint, Hooper, and Brody. And again, kudos to Brody because he's obviously scared of the ocean, and he's like, I gotta be man up and take care of this shit. So they all head out to sea on the Orca, and they hunt for a great white shark. We're off to the races. This is the second half to third to the movie, and we probably have what is considered. We've talked about so many iconic and classic shots, but the sequence from Brody's, like, I guess, what is it called, like a chum line or whatever, and he's like, throwing whatever in there, and the shark just pop. This is the first straight up glimpse you get of the shark popping out right on the edge of the boat, and of course it's Brody who sees it, and then you get, in my opinion, like the most iconic line in cinema history. I would say, not even horror, I would say cinema.
It's up there.
When he just slowly walks back into the cabin, he's like, you're gonna need a bigger boat. I'm like, oh, so good. I read that actually, I didn't even know they did test screenings back then, but they paused it and had him do the slow walk because people were screaming so much when the shark popped up. They missed the line at first, so they had to pause. They had to wait a few extra seconds for him to say it. I'm like, that's fucking movie magic right there. But what a line! I mean, that is the line that if you go up to anyone and says you're gonna need a bigger boat, they're like, oh, Jaws. Like, everyone knows that fucking line. It might be the most iconic line in history of film. I'm telling you.
Yeah, I would agree with you. It's right up there. I mean, there are definitely other lines,
of course,
that are just as iconic, but you can't argue that there's a line more iconic than this. And it's one of those lines that has kind of taken on a meaning of its own. We say it tongue in cheek.
We do
in our everyday life, but in the context of this film,
you do.
In the
He's right.
Of this character. That is completely something Brody would say. This isn't like a cheesy MCU line, in a Marvel movie where it's like that character obviously said that because he's in a movie.
Like he's waiting for the audience. Exactly.
Yeah, this was such an organic line for someone like Brody to say. I mean, he's just fucking.
And also, he's speaking facts. That fucking boat. I'm like, I'd be nervous to be on that boat. I'm like, come on, dude, what are we doing on this boat? You need a bigger boat. You need I don't know. But again, it's just like that to me is like cinema.
I mean, the foreshadowing. I mean, because obviously they did end up needing a bigger boat.
They did. Oh, they sure did.
It cost them it cost Quint his life. So yeah.
And I love the barrel, the use of the barrels, when they harpoon it to the shark. I mean, that again is iconic because then when you get to the night scene and it just pops up, you're like, oh fuck, the shark's back again. So good.
It's a really effective way to kind of track what the shark's doing when he goes underwater. He's kind of deep underwater. It's very chilling because he could be anywhere. And then when you see the barrels on the surface, and it's a way to show Bruce approaching the ship without having to use the actual Bruce too much. So yeah, I think it was really, really clever.
Talk about creativity. That's how you go, because clearly they didn't have the means to just be a shark. So that's a clever script device and plot device where we're just gonna have fucking barrels. but it's just as scary. And I feel like movies these days, like,
Yeah.
don't worry, we'll just CGI over it. Like, don't worry. It's like, no, we're not. It's about being creative, and like that's why Spielberg's a legend, because he finds ways around it that honestly enhance the movie even more. Any movie this day would not take a second back and be like, how do we figure this out while not taking the audience out of it? They would just be like, all right, we're just gonna do, CGI special effects. It's like, no, like that's part of the magic of this. I think the barrels are just as scary, honestly, when they pop up at night.
Right after they shoot the first barrel, this is one of my favorite moments, especially John Williams' favorite John Williams moment. Other than the theme, obviously the Jaws
Right.
theme,
Oh.
we get this huge, grandiose score, and we get that shot of Hooper driving the boat with Brody next to him, and then Quint in the foreground
Yeah.
on the front of the boat, and it's the three of them, and it's got this big score, and it's like it pumps you up. I
It
love that
does.
shot so much.
It's like that's like the horror adventure score that like gets you amped up. I'm like,
Uh-huh.
all right, let's go, let's get this
Yeah.
done. It's so good. But I love the next sequence when like they're all like in the cabin, they're like drunk. They're having a good time together through all their differences and everything. Like they were all in a high tense situation earlier, and I mean, I love when they all sing, show me the way to go home, I'm tired, I want to go to bed. My whole family like would sing that, like that's our song, like that we know that by heart. So I love that, and then I love how they get louder and louder and they're slamming the table and the shark's fucking ramming into the side of the boat. It's like, holy shit, like fucking pay attention. So again, Spielberg doesn't let up even in that very much needed moment. Again, that to me, like that's the bonding scene with our trio, even though they are both so like at each other's throats. That's where I'm like, oh, these guys are so different, but they did end up coming together, even though, Quint's crazy and Hooper's this and Brody's that. I love that bonding moment. That song, again, family knows it by heart. It's such an iconic moment in cinema history that has nothing to do with the horror or the shark. And that just goes to show you again how you can't pass up moments like that, because it's character development is really number one in this movie, to the shark being number two. So you can't pass that up.
Well, yeah, they go from three guys with very different backgrounds, and maybe as a viewer watching this for the first time, you'll have your favorite.
Right.
But then they have this moment where they're all kind of singing together and just, I call it dudes being dudes, just singing sea shanties on the water, that they all collectively come together as one, and they find this middle ground, and they drink together, and they have this common enemy. Yeah, go ahead.
And after that, they immediately work together to like repair the engine, and like they get shit done together right after that moment. It's like, all right, this is how dudes do it. They just get drunk one night, and now they're just ready to go.
It's such a smart scene. Quint's speech, the USS Indianapolis, is obviously legendary. I mean, it's going to go down in the history. Robert Shaw's performance in this monologue is amazing, but it's such a smart way to kind of take a breath before shit really hits the fan and the boat starts sinking. And I don't know if you've heard this story. I mean, Spielberg's talked about it, about on set for this scene. Apparently, you have Spielberg, who's a 20-something-year-old first-time director, and you have Robert Shaw, who's this grizzled actor. He goes to Spielberg the morning of the shoot or the day before the shoot, and he asks Spielberg, he's like, I'm supposed to be drunk in this scene. What do you think about me actually getting drunk and going out and having some drinks so I can better deliver this monologue? And Spielberg, being this young kid, is like, sure, why not? Yeah, whatever. So apparently Robert Shaw took that to heart, and
he did.
Drank the entire day and showed up to set and couldn't even get through the scene. I mean, he couldn't sit up. He was slurring his speech, and they had to sober him up, and they had to postpone the shoot and that speech until the next morning. And that's when he was able to deliver the speech once he had sobered up. But I know Spielberg talks about that moment. I think he said it was like the first time in his career where he like felt like he gained the respect, because after Shaw sobered up, he actually went to Spielberg and apologized to him, because he said, like, I embarrassed you and I'm really sorry. So he said that meant a lot to him as a first-time director to hear that from an actor.
You have
like
a
Robert
snobby
Shaw.
actor doing the snobby actor thing. He was like,
yeah,
fuck,
so
I
I thought that was a really good story to kind of show the dynamics of how they shot this film.
And also, like, he'll never forget that interact. Like, that's awesome. I know it's like cause a delay, but that's awesome that fucking happened. He'll never forget that.
Yeah.
That'll be that memory. Like, that's awesome memory to have as like a young, pretty much a kid making this fucking blockbuster movie. What a fucking genius. But I would hold on to like the making of it just as much as the result, what happened with the audience is watching it. So it's awesome.
Yeah.
So what do you think? So they work through the night, they get the engine, but then this is where I can't support Quint at all. So the next morning, Brody's obviously trying to call the Coast Guard and get extra help and assistance, but Quint is just so hell-bent and obsessed with taking the shark down himself. He wants to be the man to do it. He wants his money. He wants to be the hero. Not even the hero. He just wants to gloat and he wants power. So he smashes the radio.
You think that's it? I do think his intentions are a little bit different, especially after we get this monologue from Quint. I think it's a very personal thing for him. I think he's kind of the sense, this is my big whale of a shark.
I get that, yeah.
I'm going to kill it, and if I don't kill it, it's going to kill me.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to, quote-unquote, go down with the ship. I'm not going to have the Coast Guard swoop in and save me. I'm going to,
I think it's a mixture.
On head on.
I think it's a mixture, like, I'm going to be the one to kill it, no one else, but also, like, this is my purpose, I guess.
Well, he even said at the end of his speech, he said, I'll never wear a life jacket ever again, in my life. So that's kind of his way of saying, if it's my time, it's my time. I'm not going to have anyone rescue me. So, yeah.
He's a stubborn fuck. And
obviously, it's a never split up moment. I mean,
it is.
Him bashing the radio, but you kind of understand. I mean, this is a very troubled man who's dealt with a lot of demons from that horrifying experience decades prior. So you kind of can put yourself in his shoes and understand that, like, he wants to do this his way and he's not going to let anyone stop him.
Yeah, and that's his whole runtime before that can lead you to that conclusion rather than if you just did that. You're like, what if I do still scream like, you fucking asshole, but like, I'm like, you fucking asshole, but I get it. Any other movie, you'd be like, please get him die already right after that. And I do yell every time, but I'm like, okay, like he's just Quint. He's Quint. So I do love it. Sorry. So we got to get to that. I guess they do a harpoon in their barrel after that, right? So now the shark has 3.
It's got a couple. Yeah, it's got a couple, 2 and 3 at this point, and they pretty much have no answers.
Right.
So they finally, Quint finally goes to Hooper, and he's like, all right, let's try it your way with the the sedation or the whatever it is on the little needle. So they, use the shark cage.
It's so scary.
We knew it was going to be a bad idea.
It's so bad. I love how the shark just pulls the fucking boat alone. I'm like, holy shit. I guess you had to go to that, resort to that but that would not, I'm like, that would not be my job. I'm not going in that cage.
Oh, yeah, and again, to Hooper's credit, it was never going to be anyone else.
Oh, no.
It was his cage.
Like you said.
It was his idea. He said, I got to do this. What other option do we have? And he's ready to go. He's ready to risk his life, not just for the island and for research purposes, but for these 2, quote-unquote, brothers. I mean, he's made this bond, this lifelong bond with Brody and Quint, and he wants to do this to, I wouldn't say prove his worth, because I definitely think that he has self-worth, but he, wants to do this and, save his friends. And you just know, like, as soon as he's getting rolled down.
And there's no hesitation on his part, like you said. Like, he's just, like, that's ballsy. What did you, so the first time, I don't know if I was like a baby, but I was so upset because I thought after he was attacked, I'm like, no, he's dead. Like, did you ever think that he was dead for good? Because I think as a kid, I'm like, oh, like, he's dead. They didn't show him, but I'm like...
again, I don't remember, but, I mean, you see him swim away.
Right.
So the fact that we don't get another sequence...
Yeah.
I pretty much, I knew he was somewhere.
Yeah, because he did, like, swim away. I guess he swam away,
yeah.
But the way the shark's attacking that fucking cage, I'm like, no.
I know.
And I like how all you see is, like, the spear, like, go down. You don't see Hooper, you just see the spear just going down to the bottom. Like, oh no. But now Brody's just left with Quint, which is also Brody's probably like, oh, I'm screwed now with this guy. But after he attacks the cage, it's just all friggin' hell, craziness. But I guess I'm trying to think. I guess I always thought that, like, Hooper, because you did see him swim away, so I'm like, he swam to the bottom. So I hope his, like, oxygen tank's good, and I hope he's able to come back and help Brody. But this is when the shark goes apeshit and friggin' leaps on the boat when we get...
Yeah, this is where, Bruce goes, like, all right, no fucking around. Right. I'm just going to hammer this boat until I get to my targets, and he gets to one of them. This is one of the most iconic deaths in, I think, cinema history. His screams and the blood spewing out of his mouth, and him being in. Talk about being scared as an actor. I mean, even knowing this thing is fake, I don't know
having
if I
to
would
slide into his mouth like that, and then be like dragged around like that. That's because that shark to me looked very real.
I mean, we even have the behind-the-scenes shots of like Spielberg in the mouth.
Yes,
I mean, you've seen that.
I'm like, no,
shot.
I don't want to do that.
I mean, that even gives me chills because it still looks so real to me.
I just love when the shark bites down him. You just see the blood just come out of his mouth. He's just like, and the shark just slowly goes back into the water, takes him out. It's like, no more Quint. That's fucking perfect. It's a perfect death sequence. And you knew one of them. I mean, I knew you have to know it's going to be Quint. It's just poetic that he goes. But you just knew one of them was not going to make it. And the fact that just goes right into the shark's mouth is just, it's so good. It's so good.
Yeah, and then he comes back for Brody again.
Yeah.
He's relentless. He does not give a fuck.
He
at
does
this
not.
point.
And Brody's
He's
fucking
pissed
badass.
off. So Brody, thinking on his feet, uses the canister, the oxygen canister, and shoves it in his mouth to kind of get him to back off. And this is where we get the iconic moment.
My god.
The iconic Final Boy moment.
I was going to say,
smile, you son of a...
You talk about, like, Final Girl, like, badass lines. That might be the best Final Boy. Like, that's a Final Boy moment with that smile, you son of a bitch. Like, that's something that any Final Girl would say, like, fuck you or whatever. Like, it's just, it's so good.
I can only imagine the eruption that happened in theaters.
Boom. And it's literally an explosion. Literally. I love that line. That's might be one of the all-time Final Boy lines. That is like the all-time Final Boy.
Talk about line delivery too. And all these lines in this movie are delivered so well, but this one,
I cheer I've seen this movie and I'm like, fuck yeah.
Yeah,
it's so good.
I say it with him every time. I have to. I can't help it. I'm like, yeah.
It's perfect. It's such like a fist, but like you say about all this like whatever stuff today, it's so well earned though. It's not for the audience. You feel it for the character, like it's earned for the character, and we're just witnessing it.
Yeah. We've talked before on this podcast. I'm a villain guy. You're a Final Girl guy, a Final Boy guy more. I love me a villain. But this movie, I mean, it treats its characters so well. Even though I love Bruce, it's one of my favorite villains of all time. I have it ranked pretty high on my list.
Check out that episode.
Watch that episode. Check out that episode, a shameless plug. But even still, I'm still rooting for Brody to kill this motherfucker because it is so menacing. It is so scary. I really don't want Brody in this scene to die. So even as a villain guy who normally roots for the villain to kind of, maybe not kill all of the characters, but to kind of make it out, when this happens, I mean, you can't help but just
you have to fist pump. It's just like, or a clap. It's just like a rite of passage. You have to with this movie. And it's almost like you get like, I so respect people like the sharks are in their habitat, they're doing their thing, but that fucking shark had a vendetta. And he's like, you three are going down. So I love it. I love it so much. And then obviously Hooper resurfaces, and I love the shot. It's so simple, but like they make their little jokes and they like paddle back to shore. And I don't know, it's so like heartfelt again, and it's like it puts a smile on your face watching them paddle out at the end.
Yeah, I love it. Jackie makes fun of me. She actually just made a comment to me the other day when I was watching this film. I have to watch the end credits until they make it to shore.
It doesn't cut to black.
I don't, it doesn't cut to black, so I always make sure they make it to shore every time.
You have to.
And then I let it cut to black, and then I can turn the movie off.
It's so good. I agree 100%. I also let the credits play. My Blu-ray runs out at the end.
You need a breather. You need a moment to compose yourself after what.
And you have like that score too that's so good. It's so fucking good. So yeah, that's Jaws until Jaws 2.
That is Jaws, yeah. I mean, we made it. One of the perfect movies of all time.
It is.
Just flawless. I like the sequels for what they are. I really adore Jaws 2, but nothing comes close to this film. It's funny, now that I'm thinking about it, Spielberg has 2 first entries in major franchises in Jurassic Park and Jaws, where the sequels just don't even come close to the original, at least in my humble opinion. I feel like Jurassic Park, that franchise is always trying to... And I know Spielberg directed
Lost World,
the other film as well. Yeah, The Lost World. But in terms of first entries, Jaws is just on its own.
It's
in
just
its
so
own
important.
world.
It's not even just perfect. It's just so important too. What I know it's annoying, but it just is. It's the summer blockbuster, the definitive one.
I mean, it's a miracle, especially in the horror genre, that we only got 3 sequels, and that there
especially
isn't
like there's
20,000
not
sequels,
like we have 13 Halloween movies, whatever we're on.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I think that's also a testament to how bad Jaws Revenge was. That it
yeah,
just
I'm
completely
honestly
killed
surprised.
the
You were talking
franchise.
earlier, like no sequel live up, but I'm surprised, like in the day and age of like legacy sequel, that we don't have like a not a remake because you can never remake it, but not like a Brody legacy sequel with one of his sons coming back. Or I'm really in shock that we don't have like in the 2020s a legacy sequel to Jaws.
Yeah, and that kind of was Jaws Revenge.
It was,
with
but it
Ellen
just
coming
so-
back to the franchise.
Oof.
But yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, I mean, I'm happy it hasn't happened because we no longer have Roy Schneider
of
with
course.
us. Richard Dreyfuss is not acting anymore. Obviously, Robert Shaw died a long time ago.
It would
You
have to be his family.
Lorraine Gray,
She's old,
who's
yeah.
fucking old.
Right.
I mean, I don't.
She
know
had her
if they're
moment in Revenge,
capable.
even though however bad it
Yeah,
can't
so
be
I
fun,
didn't
but
even
yeah.
know it would have to be like the sons
It
or
would.
the grandsons.
But I'm just surprised that
I don't know.
because you could have the pictures of them play. It could be a like. I'm not
if
saying I
Spielberg
want it.
comes back,
Yeah, it'd have to be.
then I would sign on. It would have,
It would have
to
to
be
be,
Spielberg.
and he would have to go
Yeah.
hardcore, like horror that shit up, like give me the horror. I'm surprised that like Universal hasn't given him a blank check
Yeah,
to
I
do that
know.
yet, though, because that would
I know.
go gangbusters in the summer.
I know Spielberg is very protective of his IPs,
is.
like E.T. and Jaws. So
Oh, so many.
I wouldn't be surprised if he's just completely like
Right.
axed any ideas of that. They probably went to him with certain stuff, and he said, "Absolutely not. I'm not allowing you," because he has that pull in the
Well, of
industry.
course,
he could
he
do
can
that.
do whatever he wants.
So I wouldn't be surprised if he kind of said, no,
Yeah.
nobody's touching that. So we'll see. But yeah, guys, that's Jaws. We'll do our never split up moments and then get to our
Yeah.
scores, and then we'll wrap it up. So you said you won the poll,
Yes.
so I will for 28 years later. So I'll let you go first on your never split up moment.
Yeah, I was gonna go with like the opening of the girl, but like I've done that whole skinny dipping thing, so I'm like, who am I to say that? Like I've loved doing that stuff, so I have to go with Quint smashing the radio because I scream. I verbally like yell at the TV every time, even though I understand him. I'm just like, dude, come on. So it has to be Quint smashing that radio right in Brody's face. Like, oof, that's mine. It pisses me off.
This is going to be a pretty big episode. We haven't done it in a while. Why don't you quickly run down what the never
Okay.
split up moment is?
Yeah.
For some of our new listeners, anyone new listening, it's just a fun little segment we like to do. Why don't you just kind of do a quick rundown? of
Yeah,
that?
guys, so after we cover a movie or whatever, ranking or whatever, it's usually when we cover a movie, Nolan and I both pick a dumb moment. It could be a dumb character moment. Like, it can be after the podcast. Like, in a lot of slashers, you pick a moment where characters actually split up. It's just a dumb moment that someone does in the movie that makes you yell at the screen in horror movie fashion. Like, what are you doing? Are you idiot? You're stupid. So we both pick a moment, and then we let you guys vote on who you agree with more. And then we just release the results the following week. And we always encourage you guys to give us your moment, too, because in a lot of horror movies, there's way more than two never split up moments in a movie. So we just like the interaction. It's just a little fun thing to do on the side.
Yes. Okay, so you picked your moment. You picked
It has to be smashing
say your
the
moment
radio.
again.
Yeah, Quint
smashing
smashes
the
that
radio for Quint.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna go with the big bad of this film. I'm gonna go with the mayor.
Yeah, has to-
I'm gonna go with him after Alex's death. Continuing to open the beaches. You have the town hall scene, and I understand that there's local businesses, but to not only open the beaches, but to encourage people to go swimming after he knows that there's been, I think, 3 deaths so far related to this one
Right.
shark is just, I mean, total villain move where you're just like screaming at the TV on how sleazy this guy is. So I'm going to go with the mayor encouraging people to go out swimming, even though he knows something could go wrong.
Both two big no-nos. Those two moments are big. You don't do that either.
Okay, let's get to our scores. Who wants to go first?
I can go
You wanna
first. Just nice. I mean,
Okay.
we've been raving about it. I was going into tonight's thinking, like, do I think that, like, is there, like, a minute or two we can cut here, there? I'm just like, no. It's a perfect movie.
No.
It's the first horror movie I was shown, so I am biased, but I mean, it's the great summer horror blockbuster. To me, it's the best shark movie of all time, even though I love other shark movies. It's just the template you should go to make a good aquatic horror, and just a good movie in general. This isn't even like one of my favorite horror. It's just one of my favorite movies. It's just a great, excellent, perfect movie, and it's a 10. It's just one of my. It's so special to me. It's in my top 10 movies of all time. I love it so much. It means everything to my family. I'll like treasure it forever. It's not slow. I feel like we just talked about this whole episode was really talking about how much the character moments mean just as much, if not more, than the shark attacks. So I think we pretty much covered why this movie needed to be 2 hours, just covering this episode. So I think it's perfect. I think it's perfectly paced. I just think that the character of Brody, like there's so many movies where I'm like, oh, I like that character. You know the Brody family. Anyone can name the Brody family. Oh yeah, that's Jaws. I just think it's my movie. It's a perfect movie. It's the shark movie I always go to. I watch it every 4th of July and multiple times throughout the summer. It's my movie, and I can't wait to cover Jaws 2, which I also hold near and dear to my heart. But yeah, it's a 10. It's a perfect movie.
I was a little nervous there for a second. If you were about to insinuate that we cut at least 1 minute from this movie,
I was trying to think for these other people, but I'm like, no, you can't.
And I was gonna cut that from that podcast episode because I just can't stand for that. I totally agree. I mean, flawless movie. It's a 10 out of 10 for me.
Hell yeah.
It's just, like I said, one of the perfect films in my eyes. I have no notes. It's so impactful to me. I grew up terrified of this film. I would watch it all the time. Between my fingers at some of these sequences, it would make me terrified of not just going in the ocean, but going in any body of water. And yeah, it's guys, if you're listening to this episode, go watch Jaws again if you haven't in a while. If this is your sign at the end of summer. It's being released in theaters for one night only for its 50th anniversary this Friday. So go see it in theaters if you haven't done that, and just celebrate this awesome, iconic movie and horror movie in cinema history.
Oh, hell yeah.
So that wraps up our coverage of Jaws. Do you want to announce next week's episode? We have another big episode to kick off, I guess, our fall season, because this is kind of the last week before Labor Day. What are we covering next week, Anthony?
Yeah, guys, so after you watch this episode, and even if you watched Jaws yesterday, watch it again, because we need this movie to go on for generations, for the youth. But next week, we are going to start to get into the chilly fall vibe, and we're going to switch gears from summer, and we are going to cover the OG Conjuring from 2013. We figured with actually this current phase and The Conjuring as we know it wrapping up with The Conjuring Last Rites this upcoming weekend, I think it comes out September 5th, that we should start that franchise. So that franchise has many movies. So yeah, we want to cover that to celebrate the new movie coming out, and that's also a really big, important movie of the 2010s for us, so I cannot wait to get into that.
Yeah, I cannot wait to dip our toes into the Conjuring universe, and I'm really excited to see Last Rites, our last appearance of the Warrens on screen, so that'll be really fun. But yeah, until next time, guys, this was the Never Split Up Podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you later. Happy end of summer, everyone. Bye.